Warning: this podcast contains words and opinions which may upset or irritate you. Parental suggestion advised, or parental guidance advised. And I also must add, this podcast was written before this week's events actually happened. This podcast was stopped being written on Tuesday of this very last week. Keep that in mind as you listen. Thank you. Have fun. All right, how's everybody doing? This is another fantabulous episode of the Carl Experience. This one's going to be long-winded, so I have drink water, not vodka. Not Everclear, just water. This week's episode is going to be long. This one took over a week to write, just so you know, and this is going to be a bit of a weird blend here, because I'm combining a bunch of different things all at the same time. This episode is the rich, famous, powerful, and influential people versus us. Yes, this will be poking fun at possibly some people you like, possibly some people you don't like. I literally went through and looked at these people's net worth and shit. This list is nowhere near complete, but we will get through it. Okay, the title, The Rich, Famous, Powerful, and Influential People versus Us. And yes, this is going to be a long one. Take several pieces of paper to write down. Okay, first of all, I have a list. And here are a group of names. Jeff Bezos, Bill Gates, Mike Lindell, Donald Trump, Kanye West, the Kardashians, LeBron James, Mark Zuckerberg, Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, Elon Musk, Alex Jones, Flat Earthers, Leonardo DiCaprio, the TikTok crew, PewDiePie, Oprah Winfrey, Antifa, BLM, Anthony Fauci, and Megan McConnell. And this is not in order, okay? This is just a group of names. The original list I had was too political and one-sided. It was naming just government officials, and not just government officials are a part of this seemingly conspiratorial set of names. But I digress. But this small list actually covers quite a lot of ground. You know, there are thousands more names, and I do mean thousands. Think about all the social influencers. And I'm not going to say that I'm a social influencer. I just say that I am not easily influenced. I pay attention to the news. I watch the news. Most of the news is piss in one ear, it flies out the other, that kind of shit. So I typically don't give a fuck. But this podcast is dedicated to highlighting some of the issues some of the indifference going on. Okay. Most of the people are famous, rich, and influential. Only a select few have power, and I mean actual power. Ugh. I ask why? Oh dear God, why? They are all allotted our time and eyes and brains for their own purposes and causes, even to the detriment of our society and our country. Example, LeBron James is filthy rich. He's worth $500 million. He's not that great a basketball player, in my opinion. I stopped watching him. I stopped watching basketball back when Jordan was still playing. He's filthy rich and yet flogs us with his vapid mush in order to fleece us of more money instead of investing vast amounts of his own personal fortune. You're going to donate $50,000 to a charity and then invite everybody else to give what they can afford. If you make $50 million a year, $50,000 is horse shit. Come on, you spend that much at fucking you spend that much getting your own private plane. He has great wealth and even more than just a basketball career to help pay the bills and fill the coffers of his bank accounts. He also has some rather odd beliefs. He openly believes in spewing his rather uneducated opinions on everything from politics to world hunger. What's worse is he demands we help him with his causes and charities. Case in point, he believes there are lizard people in charge of the world. And we'll get into the crazier crap here really shortly. But LeBron James wants you to donate to all the causes that he does. And for a guy who makes $50 million, whose net worth right now is $50 million, and makes a shit ton of money, to tell the rest of us who don't have near that amount of money, please donate. We need your help. How about you donate $1 million of that fortune to that charity? Make sure that charity doesn't go broke. But no, he wants everybody devoted to his causes. And this is in fact the detriment of a lot of influential stars and movie stars, music stars. Everybody wants you to donate to their cause. You're rich. You lose your entourage and donate that money to your cause. Otherwise, shut the fuck up. Don't tell me to donate to a cause you won't fully invest in. Well, I donate my time and my personal life and all this other stuff. Yeah, you do. But do you donate money? That's what you're asking us for, is money. Donate your own fucking money. Okay. Another example, Alex Jones, and I realize at least one of you is going, oh my fucking God. Please let's not go there. We're going there because it stands out, and he does have quite an amassed following from everywhere from QAnon to the former president. And yes, the former president still does, to my knowledge, still follow Alex Jones's drivel. Okay. Alex Jones may be the poorest individual on this list. I forget what he's worth right now. It's probably written here somewhere. Oh, yeah. He may be the poorest individual on this list, yet one of the most influential by far. His net worth is a petty $5 million. But his influence stretches far more. As of now, he is a far right-wing conservative Republican conspiracy theorist and snake oil salesman, thus making him a loony con man. His show promotes false, fake, and biased news. He literally pulls news stories from the Sun, tabloid bullshit, and airs it as some sort of conspiracy theories with the government and the left-wing leftists and all this crap. He literally pulls up fake news, tries to legitimize it by airing it, and then when he's been dead wrong so many times, but in his mind he's always correct, and his brain interprets things so that they're palatable to him. And then he says I watched him the other day. Well, no, that was not this last week, but the week before. He was going on and on and on about this theory he had, and then, well, I just got proven right this last week. It was like last Friday. Not yesterday, but last Friday. He was saying, well, I'm tired of being right all the time. These people are always proving me right. He spewed what he thought was what he was referring to, and I understood the story because I was following it. He was dead wrong. He was throwing up false flag shit. It's like, well, this is just to hide this and this and this, but I'm tired of being right all. No. You're, in fact, right like 1% of the time. Okay. Let me get back to where I was. He states on his show to be right again and again, and that he wishes he were wrong most of the time. His news agents collect tabloid trash news and run with it. Or sometimes not sometimes, most times, they just make shit up. They've literally made up stories out of nothing. He openly sells health supplements of the purest kind and the highest quality. No, they're not. Claiming that he himself takes these supplements. He does claim on air to take these supplements and that they're the purest kind. And the biggest braggart lie is that these pills will keep the government from controlling you by keeping you undiluted. But then again, he is saying that the coronavirus vaccine has tracking devices in them. He has amassed quite the following in conspiracy, right-wing extremism, and sovereign citizen genres. He also copy and paste from RT News. This is a Russian-owned and operated news syndicate. All of the news from them is pro-Russia, slanted. And yet the pro-American Jones propagates it, or yet the pro-American Jones propagates it. The sad part is how many people are influenced by him as opposed to him being banned. If he didn't have lemmings following him and supporting him, he would probably be dead by now. Now, I don't know how many of you actually watch some of this stuff, but I've watched Alex Jones' show before, and his fellow cohorts, all these professors and these wannabe geniuses who are actually failed professors, are fakes. They purport that Alex Jones is the new god, or that he's predicting everything before it happens, and that these stories are real and true, and they can't believe how right he is all the time by picking them. No. Then he picks stories from RT News, and yes, I have dug as far as I can with that. And RT News, they have news ambassadors in all different countries, and these countries allow these people to manipulate the news, I guess. But all of these news outlets that are RT are Russian television news. So anytime you hear something about Russia, it's touchy on the negative. It looks at it, it tries to spin it to much like Miss Sanders from the Trump White House campaign, or news conference meetings. RT twists the news so that it sounds like Russia is actually not bad. And this is totally just invocative of the kind of shit that Alex Jones, when he says we have high quality professional journalism. No, actually, most of the journalists that he's hired are failed journalism students who made a flat out F in journalism because they're willing to embrace whatever they can to keep a job. And being employed by Alex Jones is not the height of one's career. It should be a low point. And yes, my dad also follows Alex Jones, or last I knew he did, and I've been behind him. No. I'm sorry if you like Alex Jones and you're one of the people supporting him, I truly feel for you. Now, I'm not condemning all right-wing conservative Republicans at all. By a law, I know plenty of you who fucking hate him with a passion, who wish he would literally burn alive, that some demon goblin would come up and chew his ass up and spit him out. And this guy almost lost his kids because of his ranting and raving, and the guy's a lunatic. But we digress, and I will move on. Let's see what we were at. Had to see where the video was at. Okay. Next example. PewDiePie. This one actually pissed me off. And I've heard his name for years, so I'm covering it. PewDiePie is a YouTuber and by extension an influencer. He plays video games while streaming, and he also does some comedy. I've tried watching a video of his, and why people watch him at all is oblivious to me. He's moronic, pedantic, screedy, unimportant, and unimpressive. He is akin to watching a teenager masturbate with a sex toy while talking about what sex acts he or she wants to perform with a girl or boy he is crushing on. For someone as idiotic as he has amassed $40 million. I have watched PewDiePie. This guy is about as mentally giant as LeBron James. And might I remind you guys, LeBron James is not college educated. In fact, he went, I don't even know how the hell he passed high school. I'm guessing he was one of those fruit roll ups that they had him get tutors and everything else. He was given every feasible chance to pass high school and may have flunked it, but they still passed him just to get him the hell out of high school. I don't know, but PewDiePie is just damn. I've listened to his shit, and I know people that are annoying and screedy as well as he is. They have the same bemusing Woody Allen, let's make verbal jabs at people shit. They're just as annoying as he is, and that's when they're like, oh, I love him. He's good people. He's also as dumb as a tadpole on a cold day. And yes, the fact that he has any kind of power to influence anybody it should be banned. Just like Alex Jones. It should be banned all the way. Now, next up, you're going to love this one. Actually, you're not, because I don't enjoy it anymore. And I've never actually done that. I've never actually watched an entire episode of this, but you'll get a kick out of it. Example, the Kardashians. Yes, it was coming like honey boo boo on a bad, cloudy, rainy, no good day. The Kardashians. What can I say about the Kardashians that hasn't been said? From Bruce to Caitlyn Jenner, to the sex tapes of Kim, to her knowingly posted nude pics, to all the daughters only getting with famous and wealthy black guys. The fact that they have maintained the level of infamy, wealth, status, power, and influence is very telling to the state of society. This same genre spawned Duck Dynasty, Honey Boo Boo, Dance Moms, Toddlers and Tiaras. While I myself have never watched any of these shows ever, like seriously, I've never watched any of these shows. I've seen like half an episode of Toddlers and Tiaras, and I lost 10 IQ points watching it. So yeah, I don't get it, don't want to get it, don't give a shit about getting it. They all became hit TV shows. I don't understand how. Watching an overweight little girl become famous while the entire planet is being raptured by a bunch of backwater, seemingly dumb as hell hillbillies, or the adults are hillbillies, and the kids are forced along these lines because that's how they're going to make their bread and butter. I don't get it. Don't care to get it. I watched a quarter of an episode of Duck Dynasty. After 5 minutes, I gave up. I literally could not watch more than 15 minutes. I gave up, said to hell with it. If people are going to let some bearded dudes who are making, who these guys scorn homosexuality, and yet they make duck calls that make male ducks think that they're females. I know that may sound contradictory to some of you, but do the equivalent. It actually doesn't add up. You're actually encouraging homosexual sex with, or you're actually encouraging sex with, or enticing a male with sex by using your duck collars, and nobody finds that odd, and these guys are the ones who oppose gayness at all? Yeah. Not buying it. Time to move on. Like I said, this video might incite you and infuriate you. Okay, let's see here. I will go out on a limb and say that all these shows give the drama-starved audiences that watch them the drama and emotional investment that they crave. These are the same people who watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer or what is it? Charmed. All those shows, Angel, all that crap. You needed something to emotionally invest in, which I think is rather sad. Because there for a while, I didn't have a show for the longest time. For years, I didn't have any shows. I watched whatever the hell was on, which after like 2006 was probably CSI. That's how I got into that. And then like a year or two later, I started getting into Hell's Kitchen. started watching cooking shows because there was nothing else on that was interesting to me. Because Honey Boo Boo and all these other stupid ass shows I couldn't watch. You might not have thought they were stupid, but remember, we are talking about through my lens. Next up, you're going to hate me. Example, Donald Trump. Yes, sirree, the 45th POTUS, the patriarch of the Trump dynasty, the business mogul himself, worth $2.4 billion as of last I checked, last week. You might assume that this you might assume that this is an abashment of his presidency, but you would be wrong. It's not. The star of The Apprentice is guilty of many things, but in this context, we will only be looking at certain things. Even as bad or good as he may have been, or he may be, in this context, he is only a triple threat guy. He is rich, even if it is by dubious means, famous, again, by dubious means, and influential. And only very recently has he had actual power. Or he's actually had power only recently. Given his accomplishments, it should surprise no one that he actively uses his fame and now infamy and influence to great effect. From muckraking and bullying into the 2016 presidential race to the unforgettable January 6th riot, where he whipped a crowd into a frenzy, and only after penetration and proliferation he released a pre-recorded message praising the rioters and saying, "We love you." He has proven that influence can be turned into power, which should be no surprise there. He is also known to call on the mob or the mafia to handle certain things and situations for him. Before he was 45, 45th President of the United States, look at that one right. Before he was the 45th President, when he went abroad, he was actually known to be protected by a bodyguard in good standing with the Italian or Russian mafia, or mobs. His money and influence are his biggest boon. He donates money as a tax write-off and then expects to be praised, listened to, and followed. He uses his money to leverage influence, and then he uses influence to act as though his advice is the best. In basic, he can be a bully. He became a bully out of necessity. Success at any cost was his mantra, and espoused by the family. Even as a young man, he exuded a certain lifestyle that was meant to afford him an affluent and powerful life. He would later leverage his very name for wealth and power. What he was basically doing is selling his name, whoring his name out for exorbitant sums of money to different real estate locales. There are certain places where Trump has a financial stake, but he has been very well compensated just for using his name. That's it. He has no actual give a fuck in there. Oh, okay, let's see. Time has proven him to be a good negotiator, and an upper mid-level real estate agent, and a subpar billionaire. Sorry, I couldn't read. Had a letter in my way. And because he peddles money in exchange for influence and uses influence in an aggressively forceful manner, aka bullying, that's what that is. Yes, I said it. When the rest of us do or attempt to do what he does, we are labeled bullies. But because he is wealthy, affluential, and carries considerable influence, because of the aforementioned first two things, he has been bullying people most of his adult life to great effect. If you need proof of his tactics, the evidence is on YouTube and various other places. All you need to do is all you need is an unbiased mind with which to look. I am regarding most of this information I have is from 20 years about reading news snippets and articles about Trump. And yes, at one point he made a huge appearance in a magazine. And he talked about how he only trusted mob guys to guard him. and he went on vociferously to say that he paid them very well, meaning he's paying the mafia to rent out made men. Yes, he does have connections with the mob and the mafia. And mind you, you probably heard about this. You probably heard about the investigation into his mafia ties. He already has them. He's had them for decades. And no, I'm not just speaking that because I'm being political. No, I'm being apolitical. I'm being reverse political. It's been very well documented that he's had dealings with the mafia and the mob. Period. It's the end of story. He's gloated about it in the past. In the decades past, he has gloated about these connections. Does that mean he knew Putin? Does that mean he knew Putin? I have no fucking clue. But I'm going to say that he probably knew of Putin and liked his style back then because he was more of Putin's more of a mob leader than he is an actual political leader. Next up, you thought that was going to be like a 3-page soliloquy, right? No, it was only like maybe 2 pages. Let's see, where am I at here? Okay. Example, Jeff Bezos. His net worth, by the way, as of a week and a half ago, was $191 billion, that's with a B, billion dollars. The man who started the Amazon conglomerate, invests in almost as many companies as well as owning the Washington Post and Blue Origins, as the wealthiest publicly known billionaire on the planet. He carries not only tremendous wealth and brokerage power, which is influence. He, unlike the previous subject, uses passive-aggressive tactics in his purchases. He enjoys the FaceTime. He enjoys the FaceTime he gets without saying a single word. He can literally appear on TV. His face alone will rock the stock market. His very name elicits ripples in the business world. And because of this business mogul's reputation, and I do mean mogul, his reputation, his acumen, and interviews, he can get away with damn near anything if he wants to. This fact alone makes him suspect to an abuse of affluence. I personally think that he would have changed staff at the Washington Post instead of keeping the staff so liberally left-wing. Let's put it that way. Whilst trying to influence various segments of America's demographic, if I have not mentioned a particular scandal that he used his wealth and influence to vanish or justify, please point it out. I am saying that seriously. If you know of something, a scandal that Jeff Bezos was involved in that he used his clout and influence and money on, let me know. I will have no problem posting that. I mean, I'm probably gonna have to make a second video for this because I can't list all the names that I had on that I named in the beginning. If you want to know about one of those, let me know, because we're going to keep going with these examples, because I have written plenty of them down. And I thought this podcast is going to be a whole lot longer, but then again, I'm reading faster than normal. But that's why I'll have the ad-lib at the end. Okay, example, Mark Zuckerberg, estimated net worth, $115.7 billion. Okay. And mind you, I'm a part of this. So, the fascist social media mogul himself, the very guy who wrote the terms of service and CS, and yet changes the rules to fit what he feels is right at the moment. He has used his wealth and moderate influence to usurp more power and influence. As you should well know, he started the biggest social media site since MySpace, and as of current, he owns Facebook, Messenger, Instagram, WhatsApp, Oculus VR, Calm, and LiveRail, just to name the top, 5 or 6 companies. He has other divestitures and even wanted to start up his own financial institution and network as if he needed it. You're a billionaire. He normally seems to try and act like an android, much like Data from Star Trek The Next Generation. And with the legal team he affords, he can do almost anything. Now, I use Facebook. You guys know I still use Facebook, like most people. But unlike almost everybody else, I also use MeWe and Parler when I can access Parler, because Parler is a bit of a pain in the ass to access. As I have fewer friends on both, I use those less. So I post a lot on Facebook, and I don't post as much on MeWe or Parler. And I'm pretty much hated on Parler. Like, seriously, every time I get on Parler and post something, it goes on tone-deaf ears because a lot of the people that are on Parler, at least that I've seen, most of them are, if you don't like Trump, go to hell and get off this platform. I thought it was supposed to be about open communication. If it is, why are you telling me to leave? Because you don't want to hear something else? Echo chambers aside, if you believe in the right to free speech, then you need to You need to listen to an opinion that you're opposed to once in a while. I do all the time. I listen to crap that pisses me off all the time. But I listen to it, and then if I don't like it enough, I just don't respond to it because I'm not going to add fuel to a certain fire. Certain fires I will add to, though. Okay. Zuckerberg has inadvertently... Okay, so I have to use Facebook whether fascist or not. Zuckerberg has indirectly admitted to violations of ethics codes, bribery, extortion, corporate espionage, and other charges. He's actually been brought up on charges for all these. But when you're a billionaire with a fucking dream legal team that even Trump wouldn't notice pants to get, you can do pretty much whatever the hell you want, apparently. And he has yet to face any of these charges. And if things continue, he likely will never have to face justice in his lifetime. When you have enough money, you can afford to escape justice in almost every way. I ask you, why do we afford him a free pass when the rest of us would spend decades in jail for the same thing? Why? We would. If you did all the same crap that Zuckerberg has done in his relatively short life, you would be in jail for securities frauds. You'd be in jail for like a list of shit that makes sure you never see the light of day until you're 160 years old. But go figure. He's rich as shit and has the dream team that I'm pretty sure Trump would love to represent him. But yeah, Trump keeps on going to Giuliani. And now he's backing away from Giuliani. Okay. Next example. Meghan McCain. Her net worth right now is $10 million. Meghan McCain, the daughter of John McCain, she is now a pundit, political expert in modern conservative republicanism. In modern conservative republicanism echo chambers. To me, she is a bottle blonde with a nice rack and a decent face. I only agree with her third to, if you stretch it out, maybe half the time. And that's only when I listen to her. You can imagine I don't listen to her much. And it's because she seems to have this thing where, well, if she's not convinced, then the other Republicans are. I'm sorry, chick, but no, I look at it from... I can see things from a Republican side because I spent more than half of my life being a Republican. And no, I don't... we don't all have to be Bible-thumping, abolishing right-wingers. We don't. We don't have to be. She has appointed herself the voice of the new conservative Republican movement. She is allowed to slander anyone or anything as long as she is using the guise of being a mouthpiece for politicking. she and Chrissy Teigen actually tried to get to act as though they were completely traumatized by their miscarriages. Now, forgive me for being an asshole, but these women act as though a miscarriage is the reason to make the whole world stop just for them. Forget all the other women who try for years to have kids, or the women who cannot have children for whatever reason. Oh, forget everybody else. Let's give only grievances to ourselves. Yes, this entirely pissed me the fuck off. When Megan's like, well, no, I need time off to get over my miscarriage. You know how many women have miscarriages and then go straight the hell back to work the next day? They're not allowed or allotted time to heal at all. And Chrissy Teigen, she has no right to even speak about miscarriages. Oh, you're a supermodel who's had kids with one of the most popular songwriters on the planet. But oh, woe is me. Meghan McCain has literally just, I don't know how the hell she's even amassed any power, let alone an opinion. I look at her more as a pinhead of republicanism. And it truly is disturbing how dumb some people can be. I mean, if she was standing naked in front of me, would I have at her? I might, but it's only because, bigger women are okay. But what I don't like is when I hear people that are like, well, if you haven't convinced me, you haven't convinced this whole section of the world or this whole section of the country. Nobody cares. I mean, I didn't take everybody who says that Trump should have won the election. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. It didn't happen. They've done audits. They've done 7 different forensic audits and found below the margin of marginal errors in an election, in this last election. Whether you question the election or not, you're allowed to question it. You are. You're allowed to sincerely believe that maybe something was wrong, even though when pro-Trumpers were when they were counting the ballots, they found fewer anomalies in this election than in any other election in history. They found well below marginal abnormalities. I mean, if you want to believe that the election was fishy, go the hell ahead. But I'm only stating from forensic points of view, there was no way in hell that this election was hacked. I mean, you can say, well, you can say blah, 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 but they've done 7 forensic audits, and now apparently there's some audit that's finding so many anomalies that are becoming this huge tidal wave of bullshit. It's just hot air. It's a lot of pro-Trump Republicans trying to flip an election that's already been decided. And now Biden's president. So, get over it. I'm not excited about Biden being president either. I wasn't excited when Trump got into office. I'm not excited for either one. I think that Biden has been quiet, which I enjoy, but I also think he's lackluster. Then, with Meghan McCain, she is a political tool with a vagina. I literally don't get how the hell some of her views are so pissant skewed that it seems like her brain got sucked out of her butt by her husband. And how she's even written a book is beyond me. She would be like that chick from Legally Blonde writing a book about her life. There's nothing there. Who cares? She was on. She tried recording her experiences on the trail with her father's presidential run, which was failed. But I don't see how she even got any kind of fame or wealth. And I will point out a few others here just by name. There's Ellen DeGeneres, Kelly Clarkson, Phil McGraw, Dr. Phil. I believe Wendy Williams, Dr. Oz, I think. Now, here's the bizarre part. We were told to stay at home. We were told to not engage people. So what do? We sit at home watching TV. Now, most of these people had their own studio inside their own home. Their homes are big enough so that their studio is bigger than my fucking bedroom here. It's bigger than that. It's like 2-3 times the size. It might be the size of our entire apartment here. And it's a 2-bedroom. Now, given that, we have all that going on. These stars they have a crew come in with all this PP on, set up the cameras and all this shit, and they record. They shared their show from their homes live with us, and they're doing all these Zoom calls with these stars. Okay, but not all of us have Zoom. I'm not paying for Zoom. It seems as though this period of stupid that we're currently going through, or that we're recovering from just now, it was designed. It almost seems like it was designed to affect the rich, older people. Like, well, for instance, you look at any food delivery place, like Grubhub or whatnot. Those guys are fucking killing fortunes now. Zoom popped up right before this happened, and now that guy's a billionaire. It's truly disheveling hearing all these media stars talk about, well, let's be good and donate our time. Okay, well, how about you stop your fucking show for the year that the rest of us can't work, and you volunteer every moment of your time to one of those. Well, there's no vaccine yet. I don't want to die. No, you don't want to split from your money is the point. You're afraid of death. That's what you're afraid of. You're afraid of parting with your money before you get to spend it. And yeah, I don't, like me, I don't plan on getting vaccinated. I think it's hilarious that everybody. I kept getting asked by other people if I'm going to get vaccinated. No, I have no plans to be vaccinated. You can have my shot if you want. I don't care. And I've had one or two people. Why won't you get the vaccination? And again, as I've described it in other places, I'm not rich. I'm not famous. My life has very little influence except on my children and maybe my wife and some of my friends. But I don't have a whole buttload to lose. The stars have their fame and fortune to lose, which some of them have been in the spotlight a little too damn long. Hence LeBron James. I don't even know he's not even that good a basketball player. I've watched him play. He's nowhere near as good as Jordan used to be. Jordan was the last person I watched. When Jordan stopped playing basketball, I stopped watching basketball, unless it's KU in college ball. And KU, for those of you who don't know, is the KU Jayhawks. Those are the Jayhawks to which I'm referring. You may not like them. I do. You're going to have to hear about them. Now, what's odd is I wrote this. I started writing this 2 weeks ago, finished up about Tuesday or so. I think Tuesday in the morning, this last Tuesday in the morning, I stopped writing. And I unplugged for 2 days. Didn't even look at this goddamn script. That's like 8 or 9 pages for 2 days. And then I turned on the TV, and next thing you know, everybody's telling me, well, Trump's being looked at for underworld connections with the mob and mafia. Okay, he has those connections already, but okay. And I wrote that into my podcast. You did that already? No, I wrote about it before this shit popped up. So those of you who are saying that I gleaned this from the news, no, I actually wrote this about Trump and him hiring out mafia guys before this story ever broke public this week. I wrote about it a good 3 days before the news even started pissing on the pastor about his mafia connections. Yes, he does have them. If you don't like the fact he did, well, that's not. I can't tell you what's you're going to believe or not. All I know is what I've read over the years, and some articles started popping out of my head. I'm like, well, let's see, what about Trump? Oh yeah, the time he was listed in several magazines as hiring made men from the mob to be his bodyguards because they were top guys and they were guaranteed to keep him safe. Ugh. But I will, if you guys want, you guys will have to let me know. And I do mean you'll have to speak up, be counted with the masses. You guys know how to get a hold of me. But if you guys want to hear me cover, what is it? Bill Gates, Mike Lindell, Kanye West, let's see, Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, Elon Musk, Flat Earthers, Leonardo DiCaprio, the TikTok crew, Oprah Winfrey, Antifa, BLM, or Anthony Fauci. Anthony Fauci I can cover right now. But if you want to hear any of those other ones, I'll be happy to do that. Now, I was going to write out Anthony Fauci, but I had my oldest daughter's graduation to go to. I had my youngest to contend with this week. She's had a very busy last week of school. And she gets out of school this Tuesday. So I might throw another podcast up while wifey is spending time doing mommy-daughter time with her. But let me cover Anthony Fauci for you as a bonus at the 45-minute mark. This may take up to 15 minutes, I don't know. Dr. Anthony Fauci, he has a net worth where he gets paid right now. Every year he gets $417,608. So he's better paid than the president is. No matter who the president is. He makes more money than the presidential salary. Now, Dr. Fauci is the head of the CDC or whatever the hell he's all the leader of. He is an epidemiologist. Apparently he's a virologist, if I remember correctly. They've got all these titles for him. And he has incredible influence. Like, he has more power and influence than possibly anybody else here, because Anthony Fauci made almost everybody on this list his bitch. Because he managed to he either made them money or cost them money. One of the two. And I think it's about half and half. But here's the dig. Anthony Fauci is 80 years old. He's been doing his job for 40, 50 years, something like that. And he no doubt helped a lot of kids learn about epidemiology, illnesses, all this other kind of crap. And here's what's so ironic. This guy was the platinum standard for fucking ever. Like, literally, he was the platinum standard forever. Then, when coronavirus came, well, we don't need masks. And then all of a sudden, well, we do need masks. Then it's, well, we need to social distance, stay at home, all this other crap until we get a vaccine. Okay. The nation patiently waits. We get a vaccine in unheard of time. 9 months. Anybody who says it wasn't 9 months, it was a year, is full of shit. Anybody who says they were actually developing the COVID vaccine before COVID came up is full of shit too. The COVID vaccine was developed after COVID hit the United States, which we're talking March or April of last year, not this year. It was developed in 9 months, and it was developed in a hurry, and the gold standard of getting vaccinations for anything is 3 to 5 years. Enough for clinical trials, blah, 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 a whole list of shit. Most of us forget about those things after a while, but when we get a vaccine, normally it's been vetted for 3 to 5 years. Now, with that having been said, we get a vaccine that's rushed to the fucking market. Everybody starts getting their shots. Fauci got both of his shots. He was one of the first people inoculated. And then he goes ahead and doubles down. He goes ahead and wears 2 masks. 2 of them. And says that we still need to keep social distance and all this other crap that we were doing before the vaccination. You can't have it both ways. And even Congress people are beginning to get irritated with this. Is like, okay, which one is it? You cannot have. You told us to do all this until we were vaccinated. Now that we're vaccinated, we still have to do this. Well, we need to get up to this level. No, if you have the vaccine, you should be immune to it. And if you're not, if you can still get COVID after getting the vaccine, then guess what? The vaccine ain't all it's worked up to be now, is it, pumpkin? Now, for all you cupcaking motherfuckers who think that I'm full of shit, look at it this way. He wanted us to social distance and wear masks, and he has gone to no lengths to fucking convince everybody to get a shot that his age group is most at risk for. My age group, which is, 60 to 40 or something like that, we're at medium to low risk. We're not really all that high on the list of infectious carriers. My parents, who are baby boomers, are highly affected by this. They get to get dashed at any point. My daughter, my youngest daughter, who's Generation Alpha, she is at marginal, if no risk. She has like a 0.03% to nothing risk. That's how small the risk is for her. My risk is, I believe, 0.3 to 0.125 or some crap. It's very low. Now, with Fauci, since he's been telling us all that we need to do this, we need to follow his recommendations, he changes the recommendations every single time. Like, literally, he changes the recommendations every fucking time. He's been doing this mask kick, but we need to do this. Next week, we need to do that. Pick one. Don't pick out all the options. Pick one option. And he was getting mad because young people were doing what young people do. Get out and fucking party. Get naked, go party, get drunk, all that crap. And Fauci's, I keep telling you, just stay inside a little longer. No, what Fauci wants is for all of us to stay indoors and social distance until this fucking thing is extinct, till everybody who's going to die of it has died of it. Then we can all come out of those fucking rocks or holes that he wants us to hide in, and then come out and, okay, now we're good. It's done. Nobody else can catch it. No, that's not the way virology works. That's not the way infections work. Like when we found out that Trump downplayed the veracity of COVID, with the way COVID was spreading and how it spread, you had to have been a tool not to understand how it was getting around. I mean, literally, you had to be a tool not to understand that it was already airborne. I already knew it was being airborne. As a matter of fact, I think I said in one of my podcasts a while back that I believe it's airborne from how fast it's spreading. But are people going to pay attention to little old me? No, they're not. But Fauci has been in a position of unscrutable power where the former president we had wasn't. He was bashing Fauci and yet letting Fauci do whatever the fuck he wanted when he wasn't on camera. When President Trump wasn't on camera, let Fauci do whatever the hell. Doesn't matter. As long as I get to claim credit for it, we're good. That was 45's answer to a whole lot of that. But 45 also didn't help by saying we could inject bleach or light into our veins for disinfectant purposes. And that's not how that worked, but y'all should know better by now. But yeah, Fauci used his influence to shut the country, or to try to shut the country down entirely. And I don't think he should have ever been given that power. I think he should have given guidelines, not mandates. Not. If I wanted to, if I told you that I wanted to die from COVID and went out and actively sought COVID, I might not even be able to catch it. There's no telling how it's going to affect me. I don't have COVID. I don't think I've ever even been able to. I may not have been able to ever catch COVID. There's a certain percentage of the population that cannot get COVID. It can't be caught. That population will never suffer. I believe I'm in that one. I'm not sure. But yeah, like last week, I was starting to. I got a cold shudder. I stopped writing. I made myself a hot toddy, and I went a little heavy on the lemon and lime juices and the whiskey. But we got everything done, and I got that posted out. But it's because I understand that hot sauce, lemon juice, and lime juice, and honey are all effective in battling the flu and cold. Anthony Fauci would assume, because while I assumed I was sick, I wore a mask for 2 days when I went out. It wasn't for to avoid COVID. It was so that if I was sick and I was contagious, I wouldn't spread it. If it hits me all over the face, who cares? You know, if it brushes in I was wearing a hat, so the shit that was going up would hit the hat, and yeah, I'm immune to it now, whatever I had. But yeah, I just wanted to point out that Anthony Fauci is one of the bigger anti-heroes on this entire list. He has been given way too much. I assume he's been given way too much power, too much influence, and quite frankly, if you study science, you'll find out that Anthony Fauci isn't working off science. He's working off a different kind of science, not science that's based here in the real world. But as we are now 55 minutes in, I'm going to get off here. You guys let me know if you want me to cover any of these other people. Naming them again: Bill Gates, Mike Lindell, Kanye West, Mitch McConnell, Nancy Pelosi, Elon Musk, Flat Earthers, Leo DiCapo, the TikTok crew, Oprah Winfrey, Antifa, or BLM. If you guys want to hear anything about that, let me know. I will be happy to entertain that list. It may take me a while. I believe my next podcast is going to be about the shit going on in Israel and Palestine. I believe it is. Don't get me wrong. I may not do that, but we don't know. So have fun, be young, peace out, and please think. And please give me a response to what you want to hear. If you want to hear about these people, this next set of people that I did not include in this podcast, only because after a week of writing, yes, those few pages took me a week to write because of the language. All right, people, peace out. And yeah, use your brains. Bye.